Good morning, internets. It is beautifully warm this morning, and it's going to be a perfect week of nice, warm, breezy, sunshiny weather. Woke up in a kind of positive mindset. Yesterday, I wrote out a bunch of things that I wanted to get started and get done, and over the last like 24, 48 hours, I'm starting to watch. Well, actually, I would say it's probably about a week or two. I've been starting to see rapid changes, people really wanting to change the perception of the Steam blockchain. And I've been thinking about that a lot too, because I'm not really one to be sheep like culture and just join groups or support, you know, anything that comes along. Like, call me old fashioned, but like the legacy of something, where something's come from, who's involved with it, how they brought it to market, what their ethics, what they're doing it for. That's stuff that's kind of important to me. Also, I tend to reflect a lot on why I'm still here, why I use the Steam blockchain over something like Dash or Ethereum or, like just another blockchain. And so today's a good day because on the coin market cap we are in green figures, which is always good. Always like to see green candles compared to red downward figures. I don't think you can ever kill cryptocurrency now. It's just here. It's volatile. Just expect volatility, right? Life's volatile, more so than it ever has been in history, right? With the climate, with like wars, with food, with careers. Like, that's just the state of the now, is that we live on a volatile planet. So this whole like back and forth of like crypto's gonna die or this is gonna die. No, things just adapt. They change. They ebb and flow, right? So some days you have good days, some days you don't. And even though we live on this planet, which is appears to just be based on speculation economy, everybody speculates that something's going to do something, and then that kind of generates a buzz, and then people just believe it and then throw things into it. Um, I can't just get taken along with all of those flows. Some of those I'm kind of comfortable with, but not all of them. And so it makes me think about the Steem blockchain in terms of why people outside of the Steem blockchain or outside of blockchains altogether don't use it. And there's lots of different reasons, different groups, different communities, people we get on with, people's hand holding, the way their entry point, how they got in, who brought them in, the kind of unicorn feeling of like this entitlement arena that we live in on the internet. We should be blessed that we've even got the internet. By the way, heads up for Elon Musk sticking satellites all around the planet, connecting the whole planet by, I think it was 2025. Like, we're just going into unprecedented abundance times, right? So I always think about like, what is it about Steam that turns people off or makes them not look deeper? Because the majority of Steemians that are here or have been here for a long time and join communities, work as a dApp, have their own dApp, have their own front end, have their own community, they know something that other people who are outside of or in other blockchains know, that they know is extremely powerful, and they're just waiting for the tipping point when people are like, oh, so you're still here, and even though your price is low and even though your market cap is not the market cap of Bitcoin, you're still developing. And I'm always confused why that doesn't pique people's interest, as to be like, they must know something we don't know. So I want to use a really out there analogy this morning, that I think Steem is the Crispr of blockchains. So if you don't know what Crispr is, I mean, I don't know what Crispr is, but I have a rough idea looking at YouTube pages and stuff, and Google pages, searches and stuff. So I read this last night because I'm a big avid user of Flipboard for news articles, and its researchers are using CRISPR to remove HIV from mice. So I brought up the definition here. CRISPR, pronounced CRISPR, is a shorthand for CRISPR-Cas9, specialized stretches of DNA. The protein Cas9 is an enzyme that acts like a pair of molecule scissors capable of cutting strands of DNA. So in a very simple format, they kind of use this protein to sneak in, if you like, elements of, and they're normally from previous viruses. and there's certain like bacteria and archaea, which I don't know what that is, but they're sequences derived from DNA fragments from viruses that have been previously infected. So they can kind of use the virus attack method as a let's say like almost like a container ship that they can factor in their own proteins, and it kind of stealthily moves through the system and delivers that thing, because as far as the body's concerned, it's just like a virus. So it's a way of kind of sneaking. It's almost like a Trojan horse, right? It's almost like sneaking in DNA splicing elements using existing transportation, if you like. And I'm fascinated by CRISPR because I kind of see it as a splicing machine where there's bits of things that you don't want and you want to replace those with other bits, but you use the existing transport so that the body doesn't like throw it out and be like, this is alien, or starts attacking it. So for instance, like with AIDS and cancer cells, they're trying to find ways to use CRISPR as a mechanism to go in and change elements of DNA at a protein level before something even happens, or like retroactively deliver immune elements, if you like, to start fixing those areas. Obviously that's a poor example of explaining it, but these things fascinate. Even though I don't know enough about it, these things fascinate me. So I kind of see the STEEM blockchain as a little bit like CRISPR, right? Because now we're starting to see elements of the STEEM blockchain being swapped and changed out. So we got to a point after like 2.5 years where I kind of stayed around because I got really excited about the potential of SMTs, smart media tokens, mainly because I knew it would bring attention to the STEEM blockchain because of what it offered companies that don't have what the STEEM blockchain has, and that is a variety of people turning up every day in different communities spread across the chain. There's just lots of different pockets of people doing different things. Some stand alone like myself, and some in groups and little cliques, and also little curation groups. And now what we're starting to see, after we had the bad news at the end of last year that they were laying off 70% of the main team for STEEMit, is that we've seen the community just take it on themselves that they wanted to have SMTs. So we have things like Steam Engine, and we have front ends that are using this thing called Nitrous, which is like taking a copy of Condenser and then improving it to work with Steam Engine. And so we're going to start to see this, I think, rapid explosion of niche communities using some of the code base from HiveMind, some of it from Steam Engine. Steemit is obviously woken up in the last 2 weeks now that the main content manager is back from his wedding, and there's a rapid like outreach. That's what I'm seeing. But I was reading this article yesterday and thinking that it's interesting to me that we only start looking at a technology or looking more into something when it provides like a real world major benefit, right? So this major benefit of CRISPR is, and I keep reading this over the last couple of years because I'm watching TED Talks, is that it has this ability to, go in and change certain proteins and aid the immune system to either fix, repair, or be proactive about stopping it before it even happens. So I don't know what our big STEAM blockchain moment is, because we're going to have all these different front ends, and that's great. We're going to swap and change. We're going to use HiveMind. We're going to filter. Curation groups might only filter the STEAM blockchain for what they see as, in brackets, quality content. And apart from the little echo chambers that you have around a STEAM blockchain of people upvoting, supporting each other based on their intellectual knowledge or the way that they deliver that information, I feel like marketing, everybody's banging on about marketing, but I feel like marketing for the sake of marketing the STEAM blockchain won't fix the price or our position in CoinMarketCap. We have a lot of disparate groups. We have a lot of people who love Steam. We have a lot of people who are building more here than I think on any other blockchain, but we don't have a unified message. We don't have, whereas CRISPR is like this technology to be able to use as a transport. We can affect the payload of that transport. We have multiple dApps on the Steam blockchain. We have some of the biggest, most used digital decentralized applications in the world running on the Steem blockchain compared to Ethereum and other blockchains, Tron for instance. And yet for some reason we're stuck in this identity crisis. So I'm wondering when we're going to get to a point where we have our own kind of Crispr moment. And I always thought it was going to be SMTs. I always thought it was going to be like the Washington Post or some of these big websites that have massive communities on it, or Reddit for instance, and then bolting in an SMT to use the Steem blockchain. People power up some Steem and then they can upvote, comment, and then splinter off and go into their own communities. We've kind of gone about it about face. Like we didn't get our SMT, so we built something similar to it, smart contracts using Steem engine. Then we'll probably end up with like 50 or 100 front ends. Then what? I don't know if that will dilute everything rather than reinforce everything. I'm just playing a little bit of devil's advocate. I mean, I love Steem blockchain because of what it's done for me in my life in the last couple of years and what it's enabled me to learn. I've learned more about blockchain technology, my own personal finances, my own personal value, what I want from life, and also allowed me to look at time management, like what I do with my time. So I wrote a bunch of stuff down here, and I kind of see CRISPR in a similar way, like DNA and the proteins as front ends and tokens. Now, maybe we need more real world elements of that into the marketing process. How it really, that we've got all of these people on the Steem blockchain who have a story to tell about the Steem blockchain, and I don't think we're doing a good job of that across other social networks in terms of storytelling, how personal it is to interoperate and use it. You need a certain amount of skills and talents, and you need to learn these things, and so it expects a certain amount of involvement, more than say posting a picture on Instagram or Pinterest or Twitter or Facebook. Like, it needs more of you to dig below the surface to understand what's going on here. But I think if we had 100 or 500 people telling their story of what's happened in the last couple of years, why they're still here, how it's motivated them to change elements of their life, how the blockchain being accountable to either dApps or their communities has changed the way they look at using digital technology. Because I truly think that's the real transport. In the same way that CRISPR has revolutionized the delivery method of, I'm reading an article about removing HIV. I remember in the 80s how scared I was watching the television and hearing about this virus, HIV, that was killing all these people. And now we've got to the point where we're using this tool to be able to remove HIV from mice, and if that's a success, we could probably do that in humans. That's revolutionary stuff. And I truly believe that even though blockchain is just this public, open, immutable ledger, almost like a open, usable Excel spreadsheet that everybody can use, I feel at some point there's going to be a turning point where people understand the utility of being involved in these chains and start to look past the security of allowing, say, a bank to look after your finances. I think we're already seeing it. You only have to look at the US search results for Bitcoin and people being like, I'm going to invest in this rather than a savings account with a bank that gives me a few percent over the next 5 or 10 years. And I don't think people do it because they look at it and go, oh Christ, it's volatile. I think they look at it because they want change. They want some kind of ownership of their own life. And that's the same with CRISPR, right? What we're trying to do is we want to maintain our health. We want to remove these bacteria, these infections, these viruses, the bad stuff that kills human beings. And I feel like we're going to get to a turning point with Steem quite soon that will enable us to onboard a lot more people. Anyway, that's all I really wanted to say. I probably missed a whole bunch of it out, but when I see an article like that, that makes me see the blockchain on a more molecular level, trying to remove all of my opinions and issues with individuals and instead rather look at the whole group of us with our quirks and weirdness and human conditions, and actually just look at the blockchain as a transport. Where do you want to go on that transport? What's the route for you, and what can you do along that route for other people on their journey?
Drifting